Hey guys, it's Miss Amanda, and today is Wednesday, which means we usually learn about a new animal, but instead I'm actually going to be teaching you about a few animals. And these are probably animals that you may have never heard of or seen before or would even believe are real. So we are going to read What Are You Looking At? But we're not going to go through all of the creatures. I'm going to pick some of my few because they are split up into 5 different categories. So I'm going to read like 2 or 3 from each one, okay? Alrighty, here we go. What are you looking at? Welcome. What are you looking at? Have you ever heard of a crocodile skink or a goblin shark? Inside, you'll get to discover the most weird, wild, and wonderful creatures on the planet. Along with the coolest pictures, your book is packed with the heaps of fascinating facts to share with your pals, too. Your book celebrates the bizarre side of the natural world. In fact, the more bizarre, the better. Get ready to meet bone eaters, thorny dragons, blobfish, and so much more. What are you waiting for? Turn the page and get ready to make some brand new buddies. All right, the first thing we're going to go through is furry freaks. Let's see which furry freaks we're going to learn about today. Let's start off with the furry fairy. He looks kind of cute. Not the cutest, right? Ready? So, it may not live in a magical palace, but it's still called a pink fairy armadillo. Smaller than your mom's hand, this shy creature spends most time underground. It uses its enormous claws to burrow deep into the sand, quick as a flash. So its name is pink fairy armadillo. He lives in the deserts of Argentina. That's where Mommy's from. He eats ants, worms, and he's about 3.5 to 4.5 inches. So he's only about this big. Isn't that crazy? Look, and he can even curl up into a ball to protect himself. That's wild. Miss Amanda says that a lot, right? All right, animal number 2. Totally batty. Ever seen a pretty bat before? Have you ever even seen a bat at all? Well, this little bat isn't dark and scary. It's fluffy and white. It builds its own shelter by nibbling in the middle of a leaf so that the sides hang down like a tent. Then it clings on upside down with its sharp little claws. Look, it even has a yellow leaf-shaped nose. So the name of this one is Honduran white bat, and it lives in the rainforest in Central America and likes to eat fruit. This one is even smaller than our pink fairy armadillo. It's only about 1.5 to 1.9 inches. So this bat only about this big. He's so cute, right? Okay, let's fast forward to our creepy critters. I'll try to pick the least scariest ones, don't worry. All right, this one looks pretty sad, and this was one animal I already knew about before reading this book. And here he is. He looks so sad. Looks like he needs to cheer up, right? Let's see why he's so sad. So the name of this one is the blobfish. He looks like a sad blob, right? He lives off the coast of Australia and Tasmania. He eats crabs and lobsters. I would have never guessed he ate crabs and lobsters. And he's about 1 foot. He's as big as this ruler. He's the biggest one so far. That's pretty big. Imagine this blobfish this big. All right, let's learn a little bit more about him. So these pale pink jelly-like forms are called blobfish. They live off the coast of Australia and Tasmania and bob around the water after dark. blobfish won a public vote to be named the ugliest animal in the world. They are pretty ugly, aren't they? They even have super soft bones to cope with the extreme pressures of the deep sea. So he's jelly-like, his bones are soft, it looks like he has a big nose, it looks like he's frowning, and he just bobs around the water. I hope he has friends. All right, the next one. Ready? If I could turn the page. The perfect pout. Pout is your mouth, your lips. Looks like he's wearing lipstick, right? So these rosy-lipped batfish are pale gray with a white belly. But what we're all looking at are those lips. I am most definitely staring at those lips. Their mouth is very large compared to the rest of their body. They live in sand and rubble, so they are enjoying walking around the ocean floor. So his name actually is rosy-lipped batfish, can you believe it? And he lives in the islands of the Indian Ocean. He likes to eat small fish, mollusks, shrimps, and crabs, and he can be about 6 inches long. So that's about half of my ruler. Let's see, they also have special fins for walking. So they like to walk across the ocean floor. And they always look like they're wearing some red lipstick. All right, let's move on to our see-through stunners. All right, let's start off with an insect with a bug. Brilliant beetle. Let's find out more. So, to go ahead, the name of this beetle is a tortoiseshell beetle or a tortoise beetle, right? He kind of looks like he has a tortoise shell on him. He lives all around the world and eats leaves and nettles, and the size of it is only 0.3 to 0.4 inches long. So he's only about like this big. He's tiny. Let's learn more. So with their round, flattened shape and bright color, tortoiseshell beetles are named because of the way they act if afraid. It's not because of the way they look. It's because of the way they act. They're called tortoiseshells. They pull back their feet and antennas under their hard covers or their wings to stop predators of getting a hold of them. So just like a turtle or tortoise goes into its shell to protect itself, that's what the beetle does too. It tucks in all of its legs and antennas. The tortoiseshell beetles can change color to blend in with the leaves they're sitting on. That's why on the bottom here we can see he's green because he's on the green leaf. Remember, when animals can blend into their surroundings, that means that they are camouflaged into their ground, into the sand, into the leaves. They like to camouflage themselves. So let's get into the wiggly, wobbly jellyfish. Let's find out what's so special about it. So jellyfish are weird, blob-shaped invertebrates with no bones. No bones. They also have no brain. And, worst of all, no heart. Their tentacles sting to stun their prey. And they can also be very painful and sometimes dangerous to humans. They probably sting because they have no heart, right? Certain species of jellyfish are able to produce light, so they glow underwater. So this is a jellyfish. He lives in oceans all around the world in warm and cold water and deep and shallow water. He eats small plants, fish, crabs, shrimp, larvae, and some eat other jellyfish. How terrible. And they can range in size. They can be 0.8 inches or all the way to 6.5 feet. So that means he can either be this big, or he can be this ruler, plus another 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 ruler, and maybe even more. He's so big, I can't even fit him in my arms. That's ginormous. I do not want to see that. But I'll see the baby jellyfish. And what's also wild, let's find out. Jellyfish were on our planet before dinosaurs, at least 600 million years ago. What? How do they know that? How can they know that if there are no bones to prove it? Let's look at some funny faces. All right, let's take a look at this nosy monkey. Are you ready? So only male proboscis monkeys have a big nose. They use it to attract mates, which means other monkeys think it's cute that they have big noses. Sounds kind of silly, right? Their massive nose echoes their calls and make it louder to impress the females. So their nose helps them do calls so much louder that the females are like, ooh la la. These monkeys hang around the swamps and rivers of the jungles. So they eat seeds, leaves, and unripe fruit. They also have webbed feet and can outswim crocodiles and other predators. Who would have known that a monkey with a big nose is so good at swimming too? All right, let's look into this owl's eyes. Are you ready? Okay, this bird's name is Potus, and they live in the tropical Central and South Americas. So they eat large insects, small birds, and bats. And they can be from 19 to 24 inches. So these potus are nocturnal, which means what? Do you remember? If an animal is nocturnal, it means they do the opposite of we do. They sleep during the day when the sun is out, and they wake up and they live their life while the moon is up and it's nighttime. So they are nocturnal. They roost in trees and sit very still all day. Their brown feathers make them blend into tree trunks. Remember, camouflage. But check out their huge yellow eyes. Their upper eyelids have slits all over them so they can see with closed eyes. So even when their eyes are closed, they can see through their eyelids. Unlike most birds, potus lay eggs on tree stumps. So not in a nest. Interesting. Also, what's wild about them is potus have a wide mouth for catching moths and other insects. Okay, the last part is dragon-tastic. Let's see. All right, this one lives under the sea and the next one's going to live on land. So this one says, leaf it off. So this is the leafy sea dragon. The leafy sea dragon lives off southern and eastern Australia, and it eats shrimps and sea lice and can grow up to 14 inches. So that's a little bit bigger than my ruler. So this leafy sea dragon is close to relatives of the seahorse, which kind of looks like a seahorse, right? And the pipefish. They have amazing camouflage and look like swimming seaweed. They have 2 fins to help them swim, and they are so thin, they're almost see-through. So they look just like seahorses, and it's the male sea dragon that carries the eggs in their pouch before it hatches, just like a seahorse. All right, now let's pick one more dragon-tastic animal that lives on land. And why is he so blue? Let's see. So this is the Australian blue-tongued lizard. They live in dry woodland and grassland in Australia. They eat berries, flowers, snails, insects, and small rodents. And they can grow up to 1 or 2 feet. So it can be as big as this ruler or as big as 2 rulers. Let's find out some more. So the Australian blue-tongued lizard is easy to tame. So it's a popular choice of pet. Remember, tame means that a person, a human, takes in an animal and then turns them into a pet. They now own it, they have control of the animal. So they're easy to tame, so they're not so wild. They can live in a home. And they're often pale brown or gray. But this reptile is most famous for its brilliant blue tongue. If it feels threatened, it lets out a hiss and shows its fleshy blue tongue to scare away the unwanted company. Interesting, right? These lizards are sometimes mistaken for dangerous snakes. Pretty crazy animals, right? So these were some animals that you've probably never seen before, ever heard of, and maybe it's kind of hard to believe that they are even real. So what you're going to do today is, I'm not going to give you a certain animal to draw or make a project or anything about, because we learned about a few animals. So you are going to go ahead and you are going to create your own animal. You are going to use different characteristics, different things about different animals to make your own animal. So maybe you can create a lizard that can change color but can fly, or maybe he can swim, or maybe he has gills, or maybe you can draw a fish with legs and feet and fingers. So you can mix up your animals, you can have them do different crazy things. It doesn't matter, because as you see, we see a lot of different crazy animals in the real natural world on Earth living their life. So your job is to come up with your own animal and give them certain things that they do in nature and what they look like. So hope you guys have fun with this one, and don't worry, there is no right or wrong.